So as far as I see, it should work now.
Ja.
Yes.
Now it's
Okay.
We are live.
So, also erstmal Hallo an alle Zuschauer hier. Ich habe heute den Michael und den Mike von der Band VANAHEIM hier. Das Review zum letzten Album, zum aktuellen Album, konntet ihr ja vor kurzem bei mir lesen. Jetzt habe ich mir die beiden mal geschnappt, um mich mal ein bisschen mit ihnen zu unterhalten. Und nicht wundern, das Ganze wird auf Englisch sein. Aber ich werde Untertitel einfügen, dann kriegen wir das auf jeden Fall auf die Reihe. So, hello guys. First of all, again, thank you for taking the time to join me here for a little talk. And before we start the whole thing, please introduce yourself, your band. Who are you?
Okay. Want me to start, Mike?
Sure.
So, my name is Michael. I am the Belgium guy of the band, the guitar player, or also called the VANAHEIM Hobbit or the VANAHEIM Midget. We are a VANAHEIM. I have no idea what label we have on us right now, but we are like I think epic folk metal band or Dutch epic folk metal band from the Netherlands, Germany and Belgium. We are in this little triangle nowadays, and there's Mike, our bass player. Mike, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Mike. As Michael introduced me already, I'm the bass player of VANAHEIM. I'm actually from Germany. Also wir könnten auch auf Deutsch sprechen, aber das machen wir jetzt nicht, weil Michael dabei ist. Ja, genau. Also das sind wir beide. Wir beide spielen seit einer geraumen Zeit in VANAHEIM. Ich ein bisschen länger als Michael, aber zurück zu Englisch. Do you have any questions, Daniel?
A couple of, yeah. I think that's why we're here to get the band closer to my viewers and to bring you what you deserve, a little bit more spreading all over the world.
Thank you.
Yeah, I heard the last album and I was totally flashed. Yeah, I read about I read about it before I got the stuff from Mike and I saw it's like great reviews so far and big points in every review, and I thought, okay, big footsteps, and I listened to it and I was like, whoa, yeah. I listened to stuff like Ensiferum and stuff like this before, and I was into this when Ensiferum started, for example. I was on their first Germany tour here. But in my opinion, your sound is I don't know, more natural than this. I don't know how to say it really, you know, but I like yours more than the bigger ones. And I know a lot of them.
That's a very huge compliment.
Yeah, that's very nice of you.
Yeah.
Well.
You both have been into the band later, or is somebody of you from the beginning on?
Oh, well, I got into the band when they were still forming the band, actually. So they had a bass player before, but that somehow didn't work out. And then I joined the band, and a little bit later, like how much later? Maybe 2 or 3 years later, Michael joined then.
Okay. So maybe you can explain us how the project get on start. How did the band start as VANAHEIM?
Yeah.
So I think, Mike, you should explain how you were discovered first.
Yes. Actually, it would be good for this story to have Bram or Zino here, but now they're not here. But anyway, I think Bram, our drummer, and Zino, our vocalist, they knew each other from some concerts. I think they even met at Heidenfest or something. These big folk metal tours.
Yeah.
They met somewhere there together with our former guitar player. and they got along each other very nicely. And I don't know, somehow they got the idea to form a band. And yeah, they actually started to search for more members, as you do when you're starting a band. And yeah, then it developed into finding a name. Then in between, I already joined the band, and I joined the band exactly at that point where there was already the band name VANAHEIM. So it was still in discussion, but yeah, when they asked me, I was like, yeah, sure. It has something to do with northern mythology. It fits, of course, to the whole genre. If you would ask me if this is good name nowadays, I would maybe say something different, or I don't know. I think it fits. It definitely is a little bit cliche, but that's also not too bad because people immediately know what to expect from the band, I think.
Yeah, yeah. But to be honest, if you want to do this style of music, and you have to be a little bit cliche. You can't get completely away from it, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
And if it's not in the band name, it's in the song names or the album names or something like this. Some cliche is always there.
Exactly.
Or the stage outfits.
Exactly. Yeah, it's one of those. So sorry to hijack, Mike, but it's one of those, I would say, important parts, right? So especially nowadays when there's so much music, there's so much bands, and you know, in I will give it back to you quickly, Mike. But
yeah, sure.
In the Netherlands, like folk metal is not super popular, so we don't really have a lot of bands, right? So we are still considered, I think, very original. But one of our goals, also still to this day, is how can we, try to be as original as possible in this sea. There's a huge ocean of folk metal and pagan metal bands, right?
Yeah.
Mike, continue your story about the band.
Yeah. Then we actually started writing songs right after we had the band name, and we contacted a logo designer from Germany, actually. His artist name is Wappenschmied. If you need a logo, definitely check him out because he's he's an awesome dude. Yeah, so we had the band name, we had the logo. So what you need next is songs, obviously.
Oh.
So we started writing songs. There were a couple of ideas swimming around in the pool already. And yeah, then we actually started to have our first gig a few months after. I think it was January 2016. And we actually had our first band rehearsal with all members, including me, right before our first gig.
Okay. Same day?
No, it was the same. It was the day before the gig.
Oh.
But still, yeah, very, very interesting. And then yeah, we played the songs that we had at the time, and then 2 years later, yeah, in 2017, 2 years after we actually formed the band, we released our first EP, which is called The House Spirit. Yeah, and from there on, it actually went pretty nice, I must say. We had great reception from the crowd when we played. Of course, we started with smaller shows, like every band. You cannot go from 0 to 100 within a month. Yeah, but we had our fun at stage. We had our fun with our songs. Yeah, we had a good mood within the band, and then over time, some band members changed, and we went on. But this is also where Michael joined, for example.
Yes. So it's a story that we always tell. So I'll try to keep it a bit shorter. So basically, I was in a like this modern metalcore, deathcore band before. I didn't even know folk metal or pagan metal, right? I knew bands like Amon Amarth and like Eluvaiti, but that's it. I
Yeah.
was like this death metal kid. I was into technical death metal, bands like The Faceless, Beneath the Massacre, things like Cannibal Corpse, like the really extreme death metal. And in my band, we played a mix of metalcore and deathcore.
Okay.
And we were playing in... I have no idea anymore. It was in the Netherlands, like on this very strange, tiny festival.
Yeah,
And
sorry, the festival was called
Anthology Fest.
Yeah, Anthology Fest. Yeah.
Anthology Fest. Yeah, and I was playing as there. We were playing as headliner there, and VANAHEIM was also on the bill there. And we arrived, and the first thing I saw was VANAHEIM play, and I was so impressed by them that they always sticked in my head from that day. And I like, you can ask Mike, like I'm very critical when it comes to music, and I'm not easily impressed. Like,
yes, he is.
I'm kind of an asshole. So, and you know, then sometime later, I was, I think, contacted by Bram, because I knew Bram before. We did a YouTube cover together of a Dime Borgir song, and we played on the same festival sometime when Bram was doing session drums for this other symphonic death metal band. And we actually drove him home after that gig. Don't know why, but sure. And he sent me a mail like, hey, Michael, like, long time no see. Like, do you know some guitar players who might be interested for like this folk metal, party metal band? I'm like, yeah, I'm interested. And he sent me back like, no, don't joke with us. Don't, you know, I know you're into death metal. Don't joke, don't troll. I'm like, no, serious, I'm interested. Like, I want to do it. I was very impressed by your band. And from one thing to another, I had a rehearsal very fast after with the guys. Mike was not there.
No.
It was with Nick, Zino, and Bram. And we just went through the songs like this, and we had a little talk, and it was like, do you want to join the band? I'm like, yeah, I want to join the band.
Here I am.
And here I am, you know. And from that moment on, I basically quit my other band as well, and because we already had some problems there.
Okay.
And yeah, ever since that day, I'm into VANAHEIM. Still not. So one of the things is that the people never understand it when I tell it, but I'm still not super much into folk and pagan metal. Already a lot more, of course.
Yeah.
And much more into like traditional music, because Zino listens to traditional music from around the world. So he always sends me these traditional songs. So my musical horizon has already been expanded a lot. But you know, my roots are still in death metal. But
Yeah, sure.
next to death metal, I was like, one of my favorite bands of all time, it's Nightwish. So I was always in this symphonic metal, epic, big wall orchestra stuff. And Mike as well. I think Nightwish is your favorite band of all time, probably. Yeah. So when joining VANAHEIM, the first question they asked me was like, we need you to write music, or at least help with writing music.
Yep.
So the first EP was mostly written, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, by Zino. And a lot of, like, he wrote a lot of guitar parts on keyboard. And that's why sometimes it just doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's still good, don't get me wrong. The EP songs are good. But from a songwriting perspective, it was very important that I was able to help. Let's say it like that. And it was very important. Like, if you cannot do this, you cannot join a band, because we really need someone to help us, to help me, especially Zino. I'm like, yeah, sure. Yeah, I don't know folk metal, I don't know pagan metal, but you know, I can play guitar, kind of. So maybe if
you know what songs are on the way,
maybe study a bit of the music and see. Then of course we can do something. And that's how the sound of the album became the album. That's how the album became the album, basically. So very important, I think, is the way that the album was written. So Zino is still a huge factor in the album, of course. And we had like 3 kinds of ways of writing. So one was Zino writes something, a full orchestration, and I just write the guitar part on it. The second way is Zeno makes 2 parts and he wants me to make something in the middle.
Okay.
And the third one is I make a part and then Zeno made something before or after.
Okay.
And that created a very dynamic way of writing parts on the album. And I think I know the parts, of course, but I think you can kind of hear it, maybe, or like when I wrote something and when Zeno wrote something, and it creates this dynamic because Zeno is, I don't know, he writes parts based on certain tones and melodies and everything, and then I need to write something on it that fits in the part. Of course, you cannot just play what you want, right? But when I was able to write a part myself, I was free. Right? I was completely free. So that's, for example, in the one, it's the fourth song, Reuzenspraak.
Yes. Yeah, I wanted to say the same example.
Yeah, in Reuzenspraak you have like the riff, the part immediately after the chorus, like like the super heavy, and like we had nothing there originally. So Zeno was like, I have like the end of the chorus and the beginning of the second couplet verse. I need something in there. I'm like, yeah, shit. Like, okay, so what do you want? He's like, I don't know. Just do something. Like, okay. And then I was like, what would fit there? And I don't know how or why, but I had Rammstein on Spotify.
Okay.
I don't know what song, Mein Teil or something. I don't know exactly. And it was just slow and heavy, and like you want to punch the air when you hear it, you know. And I'm like, yeah, maybe I should do something like that. And then that part was born, and that's one of those examples where I think you can hear more my death metal roots on the album. Also in the last song of the album, Gevallen in de Nacht, you have the ending part, you know, with the blast beats and the ending of the album, you know, that was also like a part, you know, it's like, okay, I need something here. And story-wise, this is the part where everybody dies. Like, just imagine the giants going through the village, like killing everybody, taking people and ripping them apart. Like, it's brutal. So it's like, yeah, okay, blast beats, of course.
Yeah.
And that part's also, it's super death metal. It's just, and super fast and evil, and that's kind of was my part in the band. and I think so. To go back a bit to VANAHEIM, how we are now. So I joined the band and we were still with 2 guitar players, but then at one point there were some things and we had some changes of mind and we wanted to, like, this album was, well, we worked 4 years on it, I think, or 3.5 years, and we wanted to like turn from this party band ish to like a more serious something, and and for that we needed to make some steps in the band. On like writing quality, but also on performance quality. So don't take this out of context, but we are never serious on stage. Never. As in, like, we are playing to have fun. Fun with each other, fun with the crowd. Oh, here's my cat to say hi. Hey, cool. No, don't put your ass on. Yeah. So we are never like serious, but we play serious, right? It's very important for us that we play the music like extremely serious, as best as we can, but don't lose we are just having fun.
Yeah.
We are playing to have fun. We are playing because we like to play, and we hope the people are there to also enjoy that we are playing there. And for this, we needed some lineup changes, so that's why we decided to continue with only 1 guitar. And that created the formula that we have now. And I think that was very important for the end result of the album. And till this day, I keep saying to the guys, like, because one of the discussions we have now is, do we take a fifth member? Like, for example, Rikke, who did all the violins on the album. She's an amazing person.
That's what I want to ask also, if it's planned to get Rikke completely into the band, or if it's planned to keep her as a session musician, or...
It's still something we are like talking about and thinking about, and it has to do with a lot of factors. So first of all, we are spread everywhere now. Belgium, Germany, the Netherlands, and Rikke is more to the German border of the Netherlands, so that creates also just more logistical planning, right? And second of all, Rikke is very active with her own bands. She has 2 bands. One is Pyrolysis. This is like Irish, Celtic, prog, rock folk. It's very interesting. Go check it out.
Okay.
And another project where she does session is called Solo. And Solo is like this, I would like pagan folk, like a bit like Wardruna and Heilung kind of music. And she is super busy with those 2 bands as well.
Yeah, okay.
And so nowadays we are always playing with the 4 of us, and then plus either Rikke or another guest. But before, we also had a lot of times where we didn't have Mike on stage, for example, where we had to have a session bass player, or where Bram was not available a lot because he was going to America and Korea for work a lot. So we were a lot of the times we were playing with like other musicians than the people in the band. And at one point I said to the band, like, we're never going to do this anymore. If we are going to make an album, release an album, it's going to be the 4 of us, no session musicians, or we just don't play any shows anymore. Yep. And we have the 4 now. And Rikke joined us in England at the HRH Vikings Festival, and it was such a success. It was so amazing, and we would like to, but for some shows, it is logistically very difficult. With we try to go with 1 car, for example. You know, the fuel prices nowadays, it's sky high, and the fees of metal bands are okay, of course, but going with 2 cars, you know, the costs increase so much, and on a personal level, it super fits with Rikke. It's she's an amazing person. Musically, it fits and everything, but I think we still have to decide ourselves, like. So what do we want to do? Do we want to expand to like 5, or do we keep the 4 and then it's like a session, you know? And because for the next album, we already discussed it. We want her to help us with also recording again, maybe even writing, you know? And so it's already more than just sessions. She's already part of the VANAHEIM family. Just like Mike's partner, Michaela, who was with us on stage at the Meet and Greet Festival. Like, she is also such a big part of VANAHEIM already. Like, she is we have the Vana family, the Vana crew. Yeah. And it's
a lot of people behind the scenes. Really.
Yeah, and also on a musical level. Like Zeno's partner, Rose, she sang the ending for a song also. And like Michaela, Mike's partner, did all the choir vocals on every song. Rikke did all the violin. Sandra, who was in Stormseeker, she did cello on the album. We have people from Grimner who did vocals on the album. So, okay, like,
like a short break here. I once counted all the people that helped us with the album in one or another way, and I came to over 30 people that were involved in this album during the process. Okay. That's really, really a lot.
Yeah.
I will keep this in mind when we go to our next video, to our track by track video next time. Yeah. So maybe we can talk about this a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's interesting.
Also on that note, like when we explain to people that we are spread over 3 countries, the first question is always, and how do you rehearse? Like, when do you rehearse?
Yeah. We don't.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, we don't. Well, if we have more shows in a weekend, like 2 or 3 shows in one weekend, because it's, of course, more convenient to have more shows in a row if all the members are spread over different countries. Then we do a rehearsal right before, maybe the day before we go on a little trip, or something, or a little tour. Then we rehearse. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, everyone does their stuff at home, and then you come to the rehearsal. You know everything you have to know, and then let's go make it. Let's polish it a little bit, and then we go on stage.
Yeah, we are forced to work like this, of course, and well, sometimes it's a bit a shame, maybe, right? Because VANAHEIM, it's really like, for me, it's probably the most important thing in my life, right? I don't want to sound desperate, but really, it's one of the most important things I have in my life. And normally, when you are in a band and you rehearse every week, every 2 weeks, is you also have this. I would say, like, this connection on a relational level with each other. Like, we're bros, and this is sometimes difficult for us. Like, for example, in the Corona times, we didn't see Mike for 2 years.
It was actually I didn't see you and Bram for 1.5 years, and Zeno I really didn't see in person for 2 years.
Yes,
that's incredible if you think about it.
And that really hurts. That really hurts. And so, of course, we are happy that, with the album release, we get some more shows now, and we are very lucky to be able to have, like, for example, a little weekend every month, because those are also the moments where those are the moments where we see each other. Because if we want to meet up, some people have to drive 5 hours to just see each other, and that's something we would gladly do, of course. If Mike wants me to come over tomorrow, I get in the car at 8 and I'm at Mike at 12.
And then you can drive home again.
Then I can drive home again. So there's a lot of planning in the band. But, if there's something I would like to see different, if we can say that, like, this is something that's I would like to see. If I was living in a utopia and the band was 100% perfect, that's one of the things that I'm missing sometimes. Like, we talk with each other every week. Like, every week we talk with each other. We have Facebook chats. We do Skype meetings.
Every week we talk every day almost.
Yeah, okay,
for sure.
Yeah, that's true, but not in person, right? So
that's true.
Even when we saw each other at the meet and greet festival, it was already some time ago that we saw each other. I think.
Meet and greet was the first show this year. So, we saw each other in person last year, December.
Yeah, in England. Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's already that's. Yeah, I know. They are. I don't have a lot of friends. I don't have any friends. They are my friends. They're not my friends. They're my family, and that's, sometimes a bit hard, because you would like to to spend time with the people you love, and we obviously all love each other in the band, and also the Vanna family. So we really have a VANAHEIM family at this point. Like, everybody's partners, they know each other. They hang out. They go to our gigs together. They have their little club now. We have us, the band, and it's sometimes a bit difficult emotionally, I would say. Now it's better, because we see the band agenda filling up, and we know in 3 weeks I see Mike again. It's just very nice to know this, and that's also going emotionally to the next topic. I would say it's also how the biggest part of the album was written. It was like, on distance. Because during Corona, we were not finished with the album yet. So we finished the album during Corona, we recorded it during Corona, and we released it during Corona. And all the time, for example, we never saw Mike. Like, the first time we saw Mike was when we recorded the acoustic guitars and the bouzouki's at Mike. So, we have to learn how to be efficient as a band, through digital interactions, through Skype. We have Excel sheets with planning stuff in it. We have Bram, who is basically our project manager in the band. And we have to, or we will not get shit done. Because I cannot just get in my car to go to Mike. I can, but it's
not efficient in that moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, you just talk about it, the big bad C, I will call it.
The Rona.
As you said, don't meet anybody in nearly 2 years or exactly 2 years, something like this.
Yeah.
My question always is, how did Corona influence you in that time? So you told you were writing the album in that time, or were producing it in that time. So have been lots of shows canceled because of this for you, or was it?
Yes.
Oh, I said okay in a way because you were writing the album at the time.
Well, yeah, we didn't have like, I don't know, 10 or 15 shows canceled, but we had some shows canceled, of course, like I don't know, 4 or 5, 6 shows.
We didn't have a lot planned.
Yeah, also if you count in the shows that were postponed.
Yeah.
I mean, next May, next month, we're playing a show that was actually planned for 2020 or 2021. I think 2020 already.
2020.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 2 years ago, we should have played that show, but we play it now next May. But the problem that came with this is we were about to make the plannings for the album recordings, and recording an album costs really a lot of money, and yeah, we were really missing these shows for a band income to give it into the album in the end. This was really a problem. Yeah, I mean, where should you get the money from as a band at that point? I mean, we're not even full-time musicians that live from their music or that live from their live shows, and we already had this problem as a small band. So you cannot even imagine how really massive, such a massive impact it had on the musicians that actually live from concerts, that live from merchandise, from their music.
To be honest, without the big C, without Corona, our album would not have been ready. So I'm not gonna say I'm thankful for it, of course not, but it did really grant us the time to physically work on the album. Not mentally, because the Rona has not been good for anybody mentally, but it did give us the time we needed to physically work on the album. And without the Rona, I think we would not have been finished yet. And that also says something about the band, right? So we this album has not been, it has been like, you can say that I'm complaining. I don't want to sound like I'm crying about it, but the album process has been horrible, to say it like that. It's the best thing about this album is that we have learned how to work with each other, because we were forced to work with each other in certain ways because of the Rona, because of the distance, and we had to face certain facts, like how to work with deadlines, how to work with X and Y, and do stuff like that. And it's been a very, very hard lesson for us. And we have learned that we're never going to do this again in this way. That's one of the things that we now know how we're going to do it for next album, hopefully a bit more efficient. But I also think that the struggles we had in the album resulted in what we eventually have. I think we were just we were striving for something too perfect, and I think in the everybody knew exactly what they wanted, right? We had this image of this grandiose album, this big production, and we were like, oh yeah, we're gonna do that in 1.5 year, 2 year, no problem. And then 3 years later, we were like, fuck, we're not finished yet. And because we never normally when you start with an album, you talk with each other like, oh, what are we gonna do? Oh, I don't know. We record guitars and maybe some instruments, some violins, and then we're finished. We didn't have this talk, so we just started, and then out of nowhere there was like, oh yeah, we're gonna write this entire orchestra for the album. Okay, cool. yeah, and also like real choirs. I'm like, okay, cool. How long is it gonna take? I don't know, a year. So yeah,
Yeah. Also, yeah, we will have real violin on the album. Hey, who's actually making the partition for it?
Yeah, that's indeed exactly. So Zeno contacted me like, yeah, we have someone who's gonna play the violin on the album. Yeah, she's super cool and everything. I'm like, okay, what next? Yeah, she needs like partition. I'm like, who's gonna do that? Yeah, I don't know how to do that. I'm like, can you do? So Zeno was like, Michael, can you do that? I'm like, no, but I will learn how to do it. Sure. So okay. So Zeno, how many violin tracks are there? Yeah, some songs have like 18 tracks. I'm like, pardon? What? Excuse me? Yeah, no, yeah, it's probably only 2 tracks, but I copy pasted and the project is just shit. Like, okay, thank you very much. I'm gonna fix it. So yeah, we learned a lot of and going into that direction. Like, this album has been an independent production, right? So we did mostly everything ourselves. Of course, we had someone who mixed the album. We had someone who mastered the album, but we did everything ourselves. Even the Reuzenspraak video clip, we did it ourselves with the help of, like, we had a camera guy, of course, but everything, the editing, the color grading, the lyric video we just released for Uitsteenslagen, we do everything ourselves. The album art has been made by Julian Bauer, which is awesome, by the way. But forming that to the actual, CD and the booklet and everything, we do everything ourselves. So with this album, we learned so much things. We learned that Bram is able to write orchestral percussion. We have learned that Bram is like a wizard in songwriting, or at least, lyrical writing, like texts.
Lyrical.
Like, Bram, why didn't you tell us? Oh, I didn't know. So we have this lyrical text wizard in the band, apparently. We learned to video edit. We learned to record our instruments at home in decent quality and in a decent way, because the standards of the tracks were very high. Like Joost, the mixer, and I would say, can you call it a producer, Mike? I don't.
Yeah, well, he clearly is a producer. I mean, he didn't have like a lot of influence in the songwriting, because producers also have actually some influence in songwriting or in some parts. But Joost, by the way, is also from After Forever. He played in the band.
Okay.
Nowadays he has a big studio in the Netherlands, but that just as a side fact. But we had him for mixing the album, definitely, and
recording the drums and reapping
and recording the drums. Yeah,
and we went to him. Also a side tangent here. We went to him because when we started the album and we finally found out that we're gonna have huge orchestrals and all this stuff, we're like, yeah, fuck, we need someone who can work with like 300 tracks and knows how to do fucking orchestra. So it's like, there's only one guy. It's Joost. Like, he works with Epica, he works with Powerwolf, he works with Blind Guardian, Sandlane Studios in the Netherlands, by the way. But even Joost said, like, okay, you guys have a lot of fucking tracks. Like, this is fucking immense. Like, he said he had, like, our album was difficult for him. So if he says that, like, I believe him. So of course he helped us out, but he's like, I need to have like crystal clear guitar signals. So I was just recording at home. I sent it to him. He's like, this is shit. Do it again. Get better stuff. I'm like, okay. So we had to do so much stuff ourselves, and this also took a lot of time. That's why the album also took a lot of time, because we had to do everything ourselves, which is actually, I think, very nice, because you learn now that you learn new skills, but you also learn that your time is gone. Like this, your time is gone. So I fully understand why bands have promoters, why they have bookers, why they have people to do their videos, why they go to a studio to actually record and everything. Because holy moly, we totally underestimated how much time this album would take us. like by 2 years or 3 years. And it's been a life lesson, this album. Seriously, it's really been a life lesson.
I think especially when you get to know, hello, we get some orchestras here, by the way. So, I know we need some violins too and stuff like this. I think that's much more where you learn to organize and to get together in complete other ways than I would call it normal band, which is doing guitars, drums, and bass.
Yeah.
So I believe you that you grow on this.
And Zeno actually never wrote for an orchestra, because Zeno wrote all the orchestra parts, and he's like, yeah, this is the first time I'm gonna do it. Yeah, I just followed a masterclass online of Hans Zimmer, and let's just start, right? Let's do it. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? You're gonna? He wrote for an entire orchestra alone.
Yeah. he definitely had experience in this a little bit from the school that he did before, but this was really the first time that he did it for real, for a complete album where everything has to fit together, where everything has to come together, you know. So during this production of the album, we had a lot of first times. Let's call it that, and we definitely learned many things the hard way. But it sounds absolutely cliche, but I have to say that we came out of this like much stronger than before.
Oh yeah.
I believe. Yeah.
On a mental level, on a relational level, physically, Bram was almost, he could Bram. So because we didn't have a lot of budget, we had to do the drum recordings in 2.5 days, and the songs are pretty intense, pretty complicated sometimes. So when Bram was finished drumming, he had an injury and he couldn't drum for like 2-3 months after.
Even longer.
When I was finished recording the guitar, I couldn't play guitar anymore for 2-3 months. It's been nice. Zeno had to visit the doctor for his voice and his throat, actually. So
okay.
It was nice.
The album really broke us. it's true.
Took much from you,
yeah. And I don't want so another thing is, like, for next album, what are we gonna do? Because, like, people already come to us like, how the hell are you gonna make an album that tops this, right? This production is already, like, some people they compare it like Nightwish, Powerwolf, Equilibrium, and Severum level productions. Like, fuck, how are we gonna do that again in less time? Because nowadays everybody has the attention span of a goldfish, so everybody wants new music. Yeah, but with something like this, it's not. Look at Winter Sun. I think that's a perfect example. Everybody shits on Winter Sun, and I was always joking. We in the band we are joking about it as well before, like, about Winter Sun and Yari, and I love Winter Sun. Like, the music, it's one of the first things I discovered after joining VANAHEIM, and I still play it every week. It's fucking amazing. It's genius. But after working on this album, I understand it. I understand why it takes so long. I understand how difficult it is to face perfectionism. I understand how difficult it is to work alone on something so big. And yeah, it's you get a whole new, like, realization of how these albums are made. Like you said, we don't make a punk album where you go to the studio, you all go in one room and you just play your set and your album is finished, right? It's a very stupid. It's not a correct example, but you know what I mean. And with this, you cannot do this every year. You cannot do this every 2 years. You need help. You can only make an album every 2 years if you have outside help, or you have to do something completely different. So we could make an album in 1 or 2 years, but then it would not. Then it would just be guitar, accordion, bass, drums, and vocals. That's it.
The typical low budget album.
I would not say low budget.
No, not low budget, but the typical
smaller production
for a band that needs to put out every, as you said, year or two.
Yeah, just a smaller production, right?
Just on a smaller scale. I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing it.
Oh,
no.
for many bands it truly works, and it's also truly admirable what they get out of it, with just doing small scale stuff. Just the point is, for us it doesn't really work like this. Like, we really want to have this orchestra, we really want to have all these details, and for that we really need some time to actually develop it into what it is now, for example.
Yeah. You mentioned before Bram as a lyrical, I don't know, how
wizard.
did you say?
A lyrical wizard.
Yeah, wizard. Yeah, true. Is he responsible for the complete lyrics of the album, or
Not
was
completely.
it split?
Not completely.
It was split between Zeno and Bram.
Okay.
Zeno, our singer, and Bram, our drummer. They really, actually, they also met for writing the lyrics at some point. And on the House Spirit EP that we did before, I mostly wrote the lyrics, also together with Zeno. But now, of course, I completely went out of this whole story because I don't speak any Dutch, and all the album lyrics are Dutch. So it comes natural that someone else from the band has to do it that actually has Dutch as mother language. So Zeno and Bram were the main lyric writers, and like Michael said, we really found out that we have some hidden talents in the band.
And it actually came out of emergency, basically. So we're like, guys, we have to go in the studio to record drums. Lyrics have to be finished because it's a deadline we set for ourselves, right? It's like, okay, we still need like one full text. Oh no, wait, we need 2.5. Oh, we need 1.5 text, and we have to correct still the one. Who's gonna do that? And like, my Dutch sucks. Like, I'm much better talking English than Dutch. Like, my Dutch is horrible. And Bram was like, yeah, I could try it. And then like after 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks, he had the lyrics for the first song, Uitsteengeslagen. And I was reading it like, you wrote this? What the fuck, man? This is amazing. And but you can actually hear if you know Dutch, I think you might hear who wrote what lyrics. So there is still a very big difference between how Bram writes and how Zeno writes. And Zeno writes, okay, I have to say it differently. Zeno just writes a lot because Zeno doesn't. He just wants to put shit everywhere, like lyrics, violins, orchestra. Like, Zeno doesn't like empty stuff. He wants to gang bang your eardrums with frequencies, right? And Bram is because he's a drummer, he thinks more dynamically. So Bram lets some parts empty, right? And takes away some vocals somewhere to keep it instrumental. But where Bram is really going on like word count, Zeno is going into how do these sentences make, like, how do they form a story in each other? And it's completely different, but it fits perfectly together.
And also on the lyrics still, they're written in a way, like sometimes in some kind of old form of Dutch that some people that grew up nowadays sometimes don't understand it even.
Yeah.
Okay. Was it clear from the beginning on that it is completely in Dutch, or was it in discussion to be in English, maybe? Or
well, I think that discussion was still 1.5 years into making the album.
Yeah, definitely. It was not clear from the beginning, and we were still discussing all the advantages and disadvantages of having the lyrics in Dutch, and it was really a long discussion that lasted for, I don't know what Michael said, probably it's true, 1.5 years or something. But in the end, we definitely went for Dutch because at one point it's really also one kind of trademark in the folk and pagan metal genre that you actually sing and write in your mother tongue. Because it, I don't know, also represents where you're actually coming from, and it really has this charm somehow. And And of course, the disadvantage is what we also feel now as a consequence is that people say, yeah, I don't know what the album's actually about because I don't understand it. You know?
Yes and no, because live people don't give a shit.
No, not for live. No.
So for example, when people do reactions, like for example, AMP, the big YouTube channel, they reacted to our video and like, yeah, shit is amazing. I have no fucking idea what they are saying. And that's why we included translations in big languages in it. So English, German, French, Swedish is even coming. To still be able to translate it for people who don't understand our language. And yeah, people really don't care live because it's just rah, 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 rah anyway. So, but yeah, we had a lot of heated discussions about it. And in the end, I think, this was one of the better choices we made for the album because Zeno he's much better at expressing himself in Dutch than in English. And even though in English he is an amazing vocalist, he's a better vocalist in Dutch. And you feel it on him, you see it on him, on his body language and how he moves. When he does it in Dutch, it's just, he has this like more enthusiasm, but also in the harder parts he has this violence in him. And especially live, when sometimes when he comes to me in the hard parts, the heavy parts, like he just looks scary, but it's not just because he makes a stupid face, but he's really living this. He's
into it.
And especially because it's the Dutch. And sometimes he's going like really really into it, right? And for a good example to me is always like the front vocalist of like the Dillinger Escape Plan, right? Or I just recently saw a Belgian band, they're called Amenra, and they make like atmospheric doom metal. Like it's the first time I saw this band live, and I was blown away. But this vocalist, like he was living the music. It was so aggressive, so tense. You just felt like, it felt horrible sometimes. And Zeno has this as well. Like in English, he does it, but in Dutch you feel it. And amazing.
I had one guy after the recent gig that we played, after the Meet and Greet festival. He came up to me and he really mentioned that he was impressed on Zeno, how he performed, and how he actually went into it. Also, one important fact is that our recent album is a concept album, with an ongoing story throughout all the songs. And then it's, of course, super handy if you have a vocalist that really can express himself in his mother language. And then he really makes the bridge between the band and the audience in transporting the story, the story of the album.
Yeah.
Even if the crowd doesn't fully understand it because it's a different language, there is something, and there are certain parts that you do understand just from his expression.
Yeah. That's something I can explain to a friend of mine. He's doing black metal as a vocalist, and they're always writing in German. And I asked him, hey, when you want to expand, why don't you do it in English? And he said, hey, if I sing in German, I feel it. Who the fuck knows what I'm singing in English? If it's right or if it's wrong, or if I translate something wrong, that there's no sense after it. I know what I sing when I sing it in English. I feel comfortable with it, and everything's fine. I feel it, and you see it when I'm on stage. You see if I doing cover of an English song or if I doing my own songs in German. And I think that's the same with your singer.
Definitely, I agree, absolutely.
But first of all, are there any current plans so far? Do you want to make some I've lost the word. Do you want to tell us where you're gonna play next time, or is there any plans so far?
Yes, to our own surprise, we actually have quite some shows coming up This is something we really wished for before releasing the album, and now it's actually going pretty good with getting shows and stuff. So actually next month we have 4 shows, which is really good for us. Like we play 2 shows in France. One is the first one is in Cannes, together with our buddies from Tortorefish. It's a French pirate metal band, super cool guys. They absolutely freaking kill it live, man.
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
These guys, man, they if you have a stage out of stone, yeah, they would destroy it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And right after we play at the Lita Morrigan Festival, which is more to the south of France. So it will be long.
With the pink flamingos.
Oh yeah, with Trollfest. And Schwarzot is also playing there, and that Italian band Furor Galicio or something. Yeah. So this will be very good. So we are really looking forward to it. And then 2 weekends after, we have actually 2 Dutch shows, which is pretty rare because we don't actually play in the Netherlands that often. As a matter of fact, we play more outside of the Netherlands than inside of the Netherlands. I think even now our main fan base is in the UK.
Yeah,
which is
definitely
very strange, but also super cool at the other hand. And then we have in June, I think we don't have any shows coming up, but in July we play at the Maelstrom Open Air. This is a recent addition. It just got announced yesterday that we play there. Then what do we have more shows? Yeah, there are more shows, but something which also will be one highlight of the year definitely for me is we will go back to England
again.
Again, we will play in the beginning of September. We will play the Warhorns Festival again, which is actually the place where our whole UK journey started. It was our first ever gig in the UK. It was a Warhorns Festival. Like, if you don't know the Warhorns Festival, definitely go there. It's organized by a super cool guy. Greetings to Glyn, by the way, and also to Mark. Yeah, it's a super cool festival on a smaller scale, but they always have cool bands. They have a super nice audience and stuff. So we are really looking forward to it, and we plan actually to have 1 or 2 more shows in the UK when we are already there, you know. Yeah, so a lot of things are actually coming up, which means we play more live now with the new album, which is good. So really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and regarding new music, we have said to each other we do like a writing stop first.
Yeah.
We just do no new music for now for at least 6 months. And yeah, we are already thinking like, fuck, what are we gonna do next? Because if it takes another 3 to 4 years, we have to start soon, you know?
Well, let's say the fingers are already itching.
Yeah. I want to write already, and like, well, I have so many ideas already, and but it has to be correct. You know, it has to fit. And first, we should come up with a concept again, a story again, and then I think we will write.
We still have to find out where we actually want to go. I mean, the ideas are there, but we have to find a new path. Not meaning that we will do something completely different, but we have to find our new goal, where a direction where the new album should go in.
Yeah.
And then we can see what from our ideas actually fits into this concept, and then we can actually start to develop a new album.
Yeah, I think it's not that easy to get into a new concept when you have such feedback for an album like you had for the actual one. To follow these footsteps. I think it's quite complicated.
I'm very happy with all the amazing reviews we get. Like, seriously, everybody, thank you. It's like hearing stuff like this, being compared with something like Ensiferum, that's, you know, wow.
Yeah, I said,
that's like, what?
Yeah, and you know, hearing that we have released the best Equilibrium album in years, right? Like
What?
those are big words, and we take them. Thank you very much for that. But it also puts a lot of pressure when we will start for a new album, because it's also one of the things. I will not talk too much about it, but it's also one of the things we really discussed. Okay, our debut album has to be good, but what if it's too good for the people?
Yeah.
Like then everything you release after will sound like shit, or at least less. And I already got panic attacks thinking about how we're gonna make something after this album. Seriously, like what the fuck? Like, but yeah, it's the challenge. It's the mission, and it's the thing. Yeah, you know.
It's a big challenge, I think. So, and I don't want to put any pressure on you. That's I've got to first say first, but I showed the your video clip to a friend of mine, and he said, "Jesus Christ, is it the new Antiferum stuff? Read the title, boy. It's not Antiferum." And I told him I listened to the albums that I reviewed 3 times.
Yeah.
I concentrate on the vocals, I concentrate on the instrumental stuff, and on the complete work. And after this 3 times, I thought this is a candidate for my top, let's say, 3 albums of the year right now. And the year hasn't even begun, if you want to say it that way.
Yeah.
So
It's a compliment.
I was totally into it, and it's still running nearly every day.
Yeah, I actually. So my father, he always supports me in my music, but he might not always be a fan of my music, right? Well, I grew up with the music taste of my father. He's a big fan of things like Iron Maiden, but he's also the typical 50-year-old guy with AC/DC, Eric Clapton, you know, Gary Moore. But when I gave him our new album, he called me immediately after when I was home. He said, "Yeah, this I would. Yeah, I have no words. Like I went to him and I just looked him in his face. And my father is someone who never shows emotion. Like nothing.
Okay.
But he put on Verloren, and I just saw in his face like emotion literally emotion for the first time in. I'm 30 years old now. For the first time, I saw emotion in his face, and that moment made me so proud that we can trigger those feelings in people. That's and you know,
I think it's much more when you know that person that shows that feelings right now. Isn't normally the person that is that emotional in general.
And even people that are not into the genre of music, like people that I know, for example, colleagues of mine who I know are not into the music, and they don't say they like it because I work with them. No, they are generally saying like it sounds like you thought about it. Like it sounds like you planned everything out or something. And they also say like every song sounds unique and individual. And I think that's one of the commentaries that I love to hear most. Like, not per se that it's original, but that every song sounds unique. And that's for me one of the coolest feedback to hear, because I feel exactly the same way. And when I listen to a lot of new releases, especially in folk metal and pagan metal, it's sorry to say, but a lot sounds the same. And
that's it.
And you know, the biggest difference is that the one band has a better production than the other one, so the one with the better production sounds better to me or something. And that's not because I don't like the genre. No, it's, to me, it's just how it is. And don't get me wrong, you have a lot of people who like this because they like this certain style of music, they like this certain aspect of music, and they like to have songs that sound a bit the same. But I could not do that on an album. Like I would, and that's why I go back to for example, Nightwish. It's or completely different genre. Archspire. I don't know if you know them.
Yeah.
Archspire released their newest album. Mike, do you know the title of it?
No.
Golden Mouth of Ruin? No, I don't know exactly, but the latest Archspire album. Like, this takes me back to my early years when I was into death metal. Like, this album from beginning till end, like, also perfection. And they do a genre that is played a lot. Like, technical death metal, like Gent before, you have a band like that on every street corner, but they managed to create an album that sounds so unique, so diverse, while still having their own sound. That's so impressive. And yeah, I think we are also lucky because in the Netherlands there's just not a lot of music in our genre. Like, we have Heidevolk. And as a bigger one that people know.
Yeah.
There's of course smaller bands like we have how is that called? Stormbreaker, I think. You have Baldur's Draumer, of course, which is a very good band. They make they say Frisian metal, but they produce and make amazing music. But that's it in the Netherlands, I think. In Belgium, there's of course a bit more. You have a band like Actarum, which recently released their new album, which is also I don't know, like Marvel inspired or something. It's also it's their own sound. It's an epic production, but more party music. And I think that's it. Like in Belgium, we have Lemuria, but they are not folk metal. They are more like symphonic pagan-ish, epic blackish metal. Yeah. So I think the genre is also. I think the genre is still popular under the people who already loved it, but
also with the big bands, always the big headliners like Enziferum, Korpiklani, Turisas, Tyr, Heidevolk, Arcona, all these. These are still, hitting the game. But if you look below that, there's like a big gap of nothing, and then all these smaller bands come, you know.
And we are one of those. We are a very small fish in a very big ocean, and we hope that with our album we manage to sound different.
Yeah, and as Mike said, the kind of trademark with the Dutch speak and something like this, I think that is something. Even if I don't understand it in the first, but you said you give the translations to it, you give the background stories for it, and I think if you keep it or spread it in some ways, maybe not every song, but maybe half album Dutch, half English, or something like this. I don't know. I think that trademark will be great to spread it a bit more than the typical English singing guy who sings the, I don't know, 1 million song about I don't
Swords
know,
and beer
or something like this, Northern mythology. I love it. I've got hundreds of books about it, but I can't hear the music about it anymore because it's always the same stuff.
I kind of agree with that. I don't want to sound like an asshole, of course, but I agree with that. And I think you're sometimes also a bit forced to work in certain directions. But I now you mention it, like English, Dutch. So Heidevolk tried it with A Wolf in My Heart. It's a song where they did the Dutch version, I think, and an English version. And to me, the English version, I'm sorry, people of Heidevolk, if you hear this, but the English version, to me, it goes directly into skip, because it's just made. So I cannot speak for them, so this is my own opinion, of course, but that's just made to be more approachable in other countries. And with that fact, they sold a part of what they are, as in they're. Look, I'm not gonna go around the bush. Like, I'm not a huge fan of Heidevolk. As in, I know their music, but I am not a big fan of the vocal style. But still hearing their music, there's a certain angle to it. The vocals are in a certain way, and the texts are in a certain way. And the Dutch, really, that's Heidevolk. The Dutch is Heidevolk, and that's why everybody likes Heidevolk. That's why I got into Heidevolk. But that English song is just not Heidevolk. It's the music of Heidevolk, without their identity. And that's why I'm very cautious. It's, for example, you have the band Affenhammer. I don't know how to pronounce their name. Affenhammer,
Affenhammer, I don't know. They're
Affenhammer,
from French.
Affenhammer. They're from France. They're from
France, yeah.
Toulouse. They're like this melodic death metal band. And they did it differently. So they released their songs in English normally, and they did one song in French. Amazing. Like immediately it was so much more. And I love it when people do it in their own language. But I understand why people do it in English. It's a language known around the world.
Of course.
But we are in a genre where it's generally okay to do it, or like post-black metal, right? Also a genre. There's a Dutch band. They're called Noctambulist, and it's the vocalist of my old band.
Okay.
He started a like shoegaze post-black metal band, and that band works so well because it's in Dutch, the lyrics. And he is also like, this guy's a lyrical space master. It's unbelievable what he does. Jesper, if you see or hear this, like seriously, a huge compliment. And like the words he used and the sentences, this only works in Dutch. And you get goosebumps while listening to it. It's so good. And if they would do it in English, I know he would make amazing text in English, but it will be different. And you know, even a band like Sabaton, they do it in English, and then when you hear the Swedish version, to me it just sounds much better. It's
but I think that's the thing we talked about earlier. It's just, I can express myself better in my own language than I do in a different one. And even if I speak a good English, and I think it's okay, my English is okay, I think, but I never would dare to write a song in English or something like this, because I never knew if I bring to the community, do they understand what I want?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
that's the thing, and that's why I think that you did it in Dutch. It's the perfect thing for you.
Yeah, I think it fits, and I think we will not change it anymore. It works. It's a formula we have to keep, and unless Zeno learns Swedish, maybe we do it in Swedish. I don't know. Don't know. Zeno learns a lot of things.
Maybe every album a new language.
Yeah.
Or maybe you do an album in Japanese or something like this.
No, that's very difficult. But would be nice though. My dream is to play in Japan. But actually, side story, like we were packing all the pre-orders at Mike when we sent out the albums, and we had orders from Japan, and I was like a little schoolgirl, like yeah, I'm a big fan of Japanese pop culture and the language. I love Japanese language. It's beautiful, and just seeing that people from Japan are interested in our album and bought our album, like, what? That makes me so intensely happy. Like,
I believe you, and I think that's one of the biggest compliments you can give to a band, if you especially when you're a small band like you are, if you spread your music all over the world without even a big possibility of promo, like bands like Maiden or something like this.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, clearly Maiden will sell over the world, Priest will sell over the world, but take a small band which is existing 7 years now, 8 years now, something like this.
Yeah, 7 years.
Yeah, and I mean, it's amazing. I think.
Yeah, it's a dream, and we are living it currently with the band. As in the four of us, we are connected on a musical and emotional level that I have never had before in another band. Like we match with everything, mentally, emotionally. Everything just makes perfect sense. It's a perfect relationship. But like any perfect relationship, sometimes you have your hardships that you have to overcome, and I think this album was that. And we got a much stronger relationship out of it, and now it's on to the next one, and hope that it goes smoothly. That's part of it. Nothing has to go, nothing goes smooth, and hardships are part of the thing. And I think that you should strive. You should keep on learning. You should try to keep on improving and just try to reach your limits and with each other. And
Yeah. Okay, so my questions are done so far.
Yes.
If there's nothing left from you, there's nothing left for me then to give you the last words of that thing. Anything you want to say to my viewers, to your fans?
Mike, take
Your
it in
stage.
German.
Take it in German. Okay.
Yes.
Well, I will still do it in English because there might be some people watching it that only speak English.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, when we put out this album, we definitely had no idea where this would go because you work on an album for 4 years. You put everything you have into it, like emotionally, financially. Yeah, and you don't know what will happen, basically. And then if you, in our case, if you get such good reviews and people are coming up to you after a show and they tell you these awesome, nice things that they say, for example, I don't know, you made their evening, or you made the festival you played on for them, and they tell you were the best band for them at the festival in whatever way. This makes you feel like it makes you very happy, and it makes you feel very proud of what you have done with your music, because in the end, music, I think, for all of us is about emotions. And if people come with an emotional response to you after hearing your music, this is like the best gift that you can get as a band, that you can get as a musician. So I really, on behalf of all the band, I really want to thank everyone that took the time to listen to our album and really took the time to, I don't know, write a review, to share our music with friends, to I don't know, promote it in one or another way. Just this really means the world to us, that we have the chance to spread our music in some way, and that people pick it up and they want to show it to someone else, or I don't know, they just keep it for themselves at home and listen it I don't know, 5 or 10 times, a million times, whatever. But really thanks to everyone that listened to our album, that bought it, that supported us in any way, coming to our live shows or whatever. This really means a lot to us.
Yeah, it's. I want to finish it up at that point as well. Like, I come from, what I didn't like about my old band was I was in the death metal community and people were just not happy there. People were standing like this at gigs and they were just only criticizing you and not smiling. And since I'm in in VANAHEIM, after a gig, going to the merch table, people come to you to just say, they literally say thank you for playing. And I would like to say the same. Thank you to everyone who takes the time to listen to our music, to share it with friends, or I cannot imagine how happy it makes us to hear that people traveled to come see us. Like, we are 4 idiots on stage farting in a car constantly, and you come to see us. Like, it's a gift that people want to spend their time to come check us out. Like, seriously, it's amazing. I have no words for it, right? That people say these nice things. It's thank you. And we are seriously, I think I speak for all the bands when we say that we are seriously overwhelmed by everybody, by each and every one of you who listens to our album, who listened to our album, who supports us financially with buying merchandise or anything, who sends us private messages and messages, people telling us that, this album, it's the best thing they have ever heard. Like, what the fuck? And, seriously, thank you. And it's why we do it. And all the bands say it. Don't have to believe me, but seriously, it's why we put so much effort into it to be able to see people happy, and that's where I will close off. Thank you for being the light for this album. Without the people, this album it wouldn't have worked like that. And thank you.
Okay, so once again, thank you for taking the time to being with me, and yeah, I like to wish to have you nice evening left.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be
Yes.
in an interview with you.
Pleasure for me. Thank you.
Sorry,
Mike,
we take so much of your time.
everything's fine. Mike, we're talking again for the track by track interview.
Yes.
You wanted to talk to Zeno, I think it was.
Yes, Zeno wanted to be a part of it, which also makes a lot of sense because, yeah, he's still one of the main guys that wrote stuff for the album, and also because of the story, that's bound to all songs. I think it's very handy to have him there.
Yeah. Okay, so have a nice evening. Thank you very much again. Thanks. And see you soon.
See you soon.
See you. Bye.
Bye-bye.